If you translate directly from your native language into English, you are probably making these mistakes. How do I know that? Well, I used to do the same all the time. So today we are fixing some of the most common literal translation mistakes, the ones that instantly reveal that you're thinking in another language. So let's go. The first one we have here is, how is it called? How is it called? The correct way to ask this question is, what is it called? Okay, what's it called? What is it called? Many learners say, how is it called? It sounds reasonable and makes sense in your language, but it's wrong. Okay? So the correct way again is, what is it called? What is it called? So, for example, what is this called in English? What's this called in English? What is that medicine called? What is that medicine called? Or, do you know what this is called? Do you know what this is called? In English, we ask what and not how. All right? Number two, the second mistake is, I have 25 years old. Okay? Use have with years, with how old you are. That makes sense, I hope. So it's wrong to say, I have 25 years old. Okay? The correct way is, I am. In English, you are your age, but in a lot of languages, you have your age. For example, in my native language, we would say, if I were to translate it into English, I would have to say, I have, right? But again, you have to stop thinking in your language and start thinking in English. So don't translate word for word. So I am 25 years old. An example, well, a few examples for you. I am 30 years old. She is 18 years old. He is 40. All right. Again, in English, age uses the verb to be and not to have. Mistake number 3. Make a photo. Hey, let's make a photo. That's incorrect. The correct way to say this in English is, let's take a photo. In English, you don't make a photo, you take a photo. Okay, so a few examples here for you. Can you take a photo of us? She took a photo of the sunset. I like taking photos when I travel. So in English, you take a photo, you don't make it. Mistake number 4. A lot of learners say, to do a party. All right, to do a party. And that's wrong. In English, you are not doing a party. For example, it's wrong to say, we are doing a party this weekend. I used to say that as well. Why? Because I didn't know which words and which verbs were used to say that goes with, having a party. So I used to say, do a party, because in my language, I would say do a party if I were to translate literally into English, right? So we are doing a party this weekend is wrong. You have to say, we are having a party this weekend, okay? We are having a party this weekend, or we are throwing a party this weekend. So we say have a party or throw a party. So they had a party for her birthday, or he threw a big party last night, okay? Have a party, throw a party. Never do a party. Right, so in English, parties are had or thrown, not done. Mistake number 4, open the TV. Can you open the TV for me? Again, in some languages, you might use the verb to open, but not in English, all right? So, can you open the TV is incorrect. The correct way to say this is, can you turn on the TV, okay? Can you turn on? Why? Because it was turned off, and now you have to turn it on, like, the light, electricity, right? If it's off, it means it's turned off. If you want it to come on, and light up the room, you have to turn it on, right? On and off. That's the same idea. So for example, turn on the lights, okay? It's dark in here. For example, now if I turn off these lights, check what happens. Now the lights are off, all right? Now I'm not gonna say, hey, open the lights. No, I would say turn on the light. Hey Bruno, can you turn on the light, please? Boom, and the light is back on, all right? So I hope that helps. You can also say turn on the computer, turn on the air conditioning, all right? So we turn on electronic devices. We don't open them, all right? Mistake number 6, close the light. I think you might have an idea why this is wrong because I used it in my examples previously when we were talking about turn on the TV. So you don't say to close the light. That's wrong. We say turn off the light. Remember, if something is off, you can turn it on. If something is on, you can turn it off. Okay? The concept is very simple. So a few examples here. Please turn off the lights. It's very bright in here. Okay? If I wanted to close these lights, I would have said, hey Bruno, turn off the light, okay? Or turn it off, okay? Don't forget to turn off your phone, okay? To shut it down, okay? Or don't forget to turn off the TV before you leave, okay? So light is not something that you close. Light is something that you turn off. Light devices, okay? You don't close, you turn them off, okay? Mistake number 7, I am agree. This is common when learners are agreeing with someone. They might say, I am agree, which is incorrect. The correct way is to simply say, I agree. I agree, okay? So, for example, I agree with you. I agree with you. Or, I completely agree. You don't say, I am completely agree. All right? Another one, I don't agree with that in the negative. Okay? I don't agree with that. So agree is a verb. You don't need am. So I agree. Number 8, mistake number 8. I didn't went to school yesterday. Yeah, that is incorrect. Okay? This is basic English grammar, past tense. Okay, and this is very common. I didn't went to work. I didn't went to school, which is wrong. Why? Because after did, because after did, the verb goes back to the base form. Okay, so for example, I didn't go to work. I didn't is already putting the next verb, the following verb in the past form. Okay. So I didn't, and then the next verb appears in the base form. Okay, so I didn't go to work. I didn't go to work. So more examples. I didn't see him. I didn't see him. Or she did not understand. She didn't understand. Or we didn't finish the project. We did not finish the project. You see, I didn't see him. See is in the present form, in the base form. She didn't understand. Understand is in the base form, in the present form. And we didn't finish the project. Finish is in the present form, base form. Why? Because didn't is already referring to the past. All right? So you don't say, I didn't went. So that would be a double past tense kind of thing. So that's not how we talk, right? So remember, after did, always use the base verb. Mistake number 9, more easier, more easier. To be honest, I've heard native speakers make this mistake as well, right? So just for you out there who think that in order to speak English fluently, you have to have perfect grammar, take this. Native speakers make grammar mistakes all the time, and this is one of them. More easier. The correct way is easier, okay? So, for example, this exercise is more easier than that one. This is grammatically incorrect. Everybody will understand you, but it is grammatically incorrect, right? The correct way to say the same thing is this exercise is easier than that one. Okay, you don't say more easier. So more examples for you. This book is easier to read and not more easier. Okay, this book is more, I tricked myself. So this book is easier to read. It gets easier with practice. English gets easier with practice. Today was easier than yesterday. Today was easier than yesterday. So for short adjectives like easy, we add E and R. You know, this has to do with, you know, comparisons and stuff like that, which I'm not going to go into in this video, because this video is just about you know, highlighting those common mistakes and fixing them for you. So this is a good subject about comparatives and stuff like that when you are comparing two things. Yeah, so for short adjectives like easy, just add ER at the end. So easy becomes easier, but yeah, of course we added IER at the end, so easier. Okay, we replace the Y with IER, so we don't say more easier. Now, here is the real issue here, right? Literal translation feels safe. I used to think that I could translate everything from my native language into English, but soon enough, I found out that it didn't work that way, right? It's not how you do it. Literal translation is never a good idea. It rarely works, right? And it feels logical and therefore feels safe. But every language has its own patterns. And if you want to sound natural when you speak English, you must stop translating. And also, if you want to make sense, because if you translate things from your language into English, literally, the majority of the time, it will not make any sense. For example, I have 20 years old. The person will understand what you're trying to say, but it doesn't make any sense because it's wrong. Okay? So, yeah, so you have to start thinking in English patterns, not your language patterns. That's why I strongly recommend that you learn phrases, all right? Phrases that are already pre-built for you. You just use them over and over again. But when you try to build up your own sentences from scratch, then you will trip, because you will translate, inevitably you will translate word for word in the beginning. It happened to all of us. So fluency begins when you stop asking, how do I say this in my language? And start asking, how do English speakers actually say this? All right, now that is the mindset shift that will change everything for you. Okay, so now, which one is correct? A little exercise for you. I am 30 years old, or I have 30 years old. I am 30 years old, or I am. Have or am, which one is correct? Number 2, she didn't went home last night, or she didn't go home last night. Again, she didn't went home last night, or she didn't go home last night. Write your answers below in the comments, all right? Now, fixing these literal translations will instantly improve your English fluency, because these small corrections make big differences in how you speak and how you sound to other people, right? Now, I am not going to stop here, because in the next video, we will correct more mistakes that quietly limit your English fluency. So stick around for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.